Yo, what up? So about like a week ago, in the middle of the night, I was stoned and I was on YouTube and I ended up watching an old performance of the Electric Boogaloos that is near and dear to my heart because, as far as I know, it's one of the very first performances that the modern Electric Boogaloo's did in the United States. It may actually be the first. And it's very connected to my teacher, Schizo from Motion Sickness. Shout out to Motion Sickness. And his mentor, Storm, who I had the good fortune to meet. And Storm is like a legendary dude in this scene that is mostly unknown at this point. Not B-Boy Storm, let's be super clear. This is Storm from Phoenix, Arizona, who ran a hip-hop shop in Phoenix at the time and was a big fan of the Boogaloos and of funk and brought them to perform. Now, as I watched this performance, I was struck at the fact that, like, wow, I've never considered looking at Boogaloo style or strutting, for instance, as like a cultural dance in the way that I might look at African dance or Mexican folklorico dancing. Shout out to Jay Smooth. What's up? And or Thai dance, all these kind of like world dance things. I look at Boogaloo as like, that's Boogaloo, bruh. We popping in this bitch. And it was like a really interesting and eye-opening thing for me, like a way to look at it. So I want to go into that more. And I actually think it's especially relevant because as I kind of gear up to do a kind of in-depth commentary on the Top Status freestyle session finals that I was in attendance at of J-Rock and Green Tech versus Kid Boogie and Frantic, I feel like these old questions of what constitutes popping are like re-emergent. And I think looking at the dance through the lens of like a cultural folkloric art form is at least an interesting lens to put on for a moment. I'm not claiming it's right. I'm not claiming it's good. I am claiming it's interesting. This is Tick Tick Pop. So I'm going to start by showing a few cultural dances, and the idea here is like, let's kind of put this lens on in various ways. So, right, so this is a Ugandan traditional dance. You can see the costuming, you can see the specific music, you can see the routines. From my perspective, these are like fairly simple routines. I know when I was taking African dance classes, a lot of the movements are like, grinding corn and, preparing for the harvest and things like that. I'm not saying that this dancing is good, bad, or anything like that. I'm just saying it's kind of straightforward. I mean, the hip movement here is pretty crazy, like if we're just being real. So here's one cultural dance, right? Note the music, the costumes, the group, etc. Now we'll go to Thailand, right? And now we see traditional Thai dancing with very lovely Thai ladies. Shout out again to Jay Smith. Again, all I'm pointing out here is the music, very specific, the costuming, very specific, the form of movement, very specific. Now again, from my eyes, this dance looks fairly basic, and I do think that there's a chance, and I'm super open to the fact that I'm wrong. I don't know anything about this dance. For all I know, I'm watching like it's so hard to get this movement down. I don't know. So don't take my technical analysis of Thai traditional dance very seriously. I think that there's a chance that one of the reasons that popping blew up in the way it did is it's a traditional folkloric dance that's like crazy good. Most of these dances are like, ding, 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 popping's like, bow, 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 brrrr. So, there's traditional dance number 2. And now we go to Mexican folkloric dancing. And the reason I picked this one, in addition to just being cute, is I feel like what I'm watching here is like China. If you look at these Chinese popping kids with their fedoras and their zoot suits and stuff, it's like, that's what this feels like. It's like, oh, that's so cute. Look, they're doing the traditional dance. Oh, that's so funny. Right? But again, note the costumes, the music, the cuteness. Okay? And now, let's get into this. And in fact, I'm gonna break my rules. You know, I mean, look, the music, the costumes, and the kind of low-key venue, right? Like a high school basketball gym. I meant to say that in the other ones that I was watching. That, like, if you just look at the venue, right? And in a way, it's very straightforward, you know? Here, just positioning-wise, swinging of the arms, knee comes up, turn, bend forward, come back. I mean, again, like, that's the old man. That's a pretty dope move with the hips. The Ugandan dance had a lot of dope moves with the hips. I think the hit is extremely impressive. And obviously, in the modern electric boogaloo format, the focus really is on the solos. I actually think that's where we go from a cultural folklore dance to a phenomenon in the art world, is when the solo performances, which are improvised, are revealed to be like astonishing, basically. But, you know, just note how similar, at some level, the music, it's a specific kind of music, right? This is not music that you hear. And look at Wiggles. Look at Wiggles straight killing it. I hope Jiggy Jaya watches this and understands why I want him to take care of his knees. Because Wiggles was like this, and now he's not like this. And you know, when you're 16, you think 50 is like forever away, and it is forever away. But to have pain in your 50s is, I don't think, very fun. Poppin' Taco. The main thing I notice these days with Taco is his head isolation. That his head is so controlled in everything that he does, like his body moving all around, but his head so still. And that he takes all of this waving. His musicality is also super interesting. If you watch that closely. His musicality is a lot more sophisticated than I realized. Ah, Skeet. I feel like I really wish I had understood how crazy Skeet was while I had such consistent opportunities to be so close to him. But, you know, don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you got until it's gone. Poppin' Pete at the peak. This is like peak Poppin' Pete. I think that you can make a case that this era of Poppin' Pete is one of the very highest levels of popping that ever existed. The people that are coming to my mind, for whatever it's worth, that are at this level also, are Boppin' Ron and Daryl Stokes. That's a pretty crazy trifecta. I know I'm going so far away from my initial point, but, you know, what are you going to do? And I feel like you can see it in Sam the most, right? The cultural, folkloric aspect of the dance. Like and you know, for the youngins out there, they wouldn't know, but Pete and Skeet would always just be like, bruh, Sam is like everything that this dance is, and the rhythm and the timing and stuff. But so to kind of go back to what I was saying a little bit, and I may divert if I see something like crazy dope. It's like I've never really looked at it as like, okay, this is like a little dance troupe that has this dance form that they do that's kind of like super niche-y. Let's watch Taco for a second. Alright, we watched Taco for a second. And, what's going on? Oh, the show is beginning. When I watch that, I'm always crazy impressed how good their ticking strobing is. I would call it strobing, personally. I hope that doesn't offend anyone. You never know these days with terminology. That's not strobing, Otis. Don't you know any? Oh, I'm sorry. It's so complicated. Everybody makes everything so the point is like, what is popping? Is this popping? And I think that it's really time to get to the bottom of the fact that it would be like, let's go back to Thai dance, right? It would be like there was one region in Thailand, right? Like, so there's a big differentiation, I know, because I was in Thailand, between northern Thailand and southern Thailand, right? So let's say that the traditional dance of Phuket, southern Thailand, and then the traditional dance of Chiang Mai, northern Thailand, one of them was called Thai dance, and the other one was called Hang Kong, right? Like Thai language. And the northern, like the Chiang Mai style was called Thai, and they're like, this is Thai dance. And then they would say that the Phuket style, like Hang Hang, that's not Thai dance. But it's like, it's so confusing because Thailand is also a country, right? And so, yes, technically, the Chiang Mai people are right. I know I've lost like 80% of people, but if you watch this again, I'm actually making sense. The Chiang Mai people are right that their thing is called Thai dance. But it's disingenuous for them to not understand that the country isn't. That Twisto is crazy. Taco won the Twisto war. I'll tell you that much. And I think in the same way that, Fresno style, electric boogaloo style popping is absolutely popping. What they're doing, what Sam is doing right now, this is popping. However, popping also got the name for like boogie boy style from New York, which I would call a cultural form that's a lot more Puerto Rican and Dominican than it is black in many ways. The key people, Wiggles and Fable, both Latino and not black. Of course, many black people did it. The pop locking style of Los Angeles, and I think I would put Pomona in there. I'm not sure if G-style was G-style back then. I don't think it was. I think it was all part of pop locking, which you have like Jekyll and Hayes and all of the Pomona guys. Go Taco, bro. I want to do a video comparing Taco and Stokes. So I put that out there into the universe. Alright, Skeet. Show these ma fuzz what time it is. Look at the shadow boxing. I don't think I had the capacity at the time that I was around him to understand these isolations. The style is like so isolated. And don't forget, he's so big, and to be this mobile and move this much. Alright, I'm gonna get back to what I'm saying. And when you deal with Otis Funkmeyer, it's fairly non-linear, so I appreciate. That's crazy. Like that, look at that. That's like double jointed. Can you see that his foot is like pointed completely back? This guy has crazy ankle mobility. I never understood this stuff back then. I was like, why am I not like Poppin' Pete, right? And it's like, bro, You can like barely touch your toes, and this guy can like bend his foot backwards. Good luck. Pete always said also, by the way, for what it's worth, he's always had crazy strong legs, Pete and Jazzy. I've mentioned that before, but anyway, okay, and Sam. I love Sam. I got a special place in my heart for the timing of Boogaloo Sam. To me, this is popping. So, when we have these popping contests, right? And you say, oh, well, bopping isn't popping and G-style isn't popping. It's like, kinda, you're technically right. Like the Chiang Mai people from like a super, super niche, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people in the whole world niche, I feel like. But the reality is that the name of your little town style ended up becoming the name of the whole thing. And that could be because you're the dopest. It could be because you got on Soul Train. It could be an accident. It could be on purpose. But regardless, like, I feel like what's happened now is that there's this real confusion as to like, is this popping? What I'm doing right now, is this popping? I say yes. And I understand if someone says no, but the problem with someone saying no is that what these contests become is they become Mexican folkloric dance contests. They're not some kind of like street style urban dance movement. It's like we may as well be doing like a Oaxacan dance contest. It's like who does the boom, 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 boom dance the best, right? And if you go here, no, that's not part of Oaxacan dance. And it's like, dude, no. And so to kind of add to this discussion, I saw that Crazy Duck, shout out to Crazy Duck, a dope Chinese dancer, kind of wild man, he posted a video of Elsewhere from 2001. And there's a very famous story that the youngins won't know anything about, which is that at B-Boy Summit 2000, that was the first major contest of the this is debatable what I'm saying, but it's not that debatable. It's like 20-30% debatable. That was the first major contest of the modern era of popping. Prior to that, it was the B-boy era of popping. And that's people like Stiga, Salah, Bionic Man, Tommy Boy, Shallow, Domino, Clown, etc. Chuco. These are the B-boy poppers. They had Sweepy. They had Tricks, right? The name of the game was Tricks. And I'm not judging it. I'm just pointing out in that era of the dance that we're into, the folkloric dance, that was the thing. So the Electric Boogaloos come back. It's not that long after the video that we just watched in Arizona. In fact, it may be the very next time the Electric Boogaloos reappear in the United States, and they host a popping contest, right? And this is the first time, as far as I know, that these extremely specific ideas of what popping is are instituted as part of the rules. This is like virtually unheard of prior to this, right? And if you want proof of this, the finals of this contest are Waleed, Sweepy, and Politics or Politrix. I always sorry, dude. I always forget which one it is. My bad. And Waleed won, and you can see that he does a move where he goes like, and Skeet yells out, no waving, only popping, it's kind of like just, hey, let's remember, this is a popping contest. We're popping, we're not waving. It's not a waving contest. And to make a long story short, I wasn't there. This is 2 years before my time. the by far the crowd favorite at B-Boy Summit 2000 was Elsewhere. By far. It's like Salah, it's like Nonstop, it's like Poppin' John, something. Poppin' John doesn't exactly fit in there, but it's like the crowd is going nuts over this person, and he doesn't pass prelims, and the justification is that he isn't popping. And I think what's interesting to consider in a Rick and Morty sense is like how different our little cultural dance could have been had we been in a parallel reality where Elsewhere was embraced. So when Crazy Duck posted this, I watched it and I was like, holy shit, Elsewhere was crazy. Like, crazy. So this also, just so you know, this is of my generation. This is probably the most viral dance video of all time. This is the video that I had like 20 friends of mine who didn't know anything about dancing sending me this by email. Oh my God, have you seen this? This is like what you do. This guy's amazing. And at the time I was like, I don't know, man, he's not doing foundation, because I was in the folkloric mindset, right? When I look at this now, I'm like, oh my God, look at his shoulder, look at this waving and snaking. Like, I can see, to me, right here, this chess move he does, it's awkward, like, right? So I'm not claiming that this is a perfect dance, but like this character here, this is nuts. I mean, you can, like, I totally understand now why an audience is going completely apeshit over this. It's like, what am I seeing? And then the ballet turn, and again, I think that that's kind of awkward, that step back, and I don't think Elsewhere would like necessarily debate that, but strobing. But it's like, to me, this is an alternate path where this guy took everything that he had seen from the OGs that he was inspired by, from animation, from Flat Top, probably Chuko, Mr. Ree, Bop and Andre, and he ran with it. And I think that it's a very interesting thing to consider, because this, to me, seems like the alternative route that a dance can go in, where it becomes significantly more about the individual, and the individual pulling from what they feel influenced by and sort of creating their own movement that comes from an internal place. And Elsewhere, for those that don't know, put out an extremely famous dance video from my generation called Detours, and it was about being more experimental. And in that video, he explains that he saw these dancers, right? He grew up in Orange County, and so he was around Los Angeles. And so he would see people like Mr. Animation street performing, or maybe go to a B-Boy event or something like this. And then he was just alone in his garage, and maybe with some friends. And they would just try to remember what they saw. It's much more like the OGs, how the OGs did it, where there's no cameras. You go out, you see somebody tutting nuts, and you're like, I want to tut nuts. And you try to just think of, like, how did it move? Did it go out? Did it go sideways? Did it flip? Did it, what was actually going on? And the folkloric counter to this, which is what took over in the parallel reality that we currently find ourselves in, is this is not the right path, because it doesn't continue a tradition, right? A tradition is valuable, and paying homage and respect to your cultural forebears is necessary and part of being a part of the chain of humanity. And as I've mentioned on several occasions, when I was in college, I wrote a thesis paper comparing and contrasting the Europeanist and Africanist aesthetic in dance. And one of the core differences between these two aesthetics is, in the Europeanist aesthetic, there's significantly more focus placed on novelty and innovation, meaning coming up with your own approach to movement, right? This is, even if you look beyond ballet with the origins of what we call modern dance, Isadora Duncan, she took off her shoes, she got inspired by the Greeks, and she started just moving. And this was like totally shocking in the time period that it was in. Women were like to be heard and not seen, and she just threw off the shackles, right? And then that leads to Martha Graham, Ruth St. Denis, Ted Shawn, la la la, on we go until we get into what is now contemporary, post-contemporary, postmodern, abstract, experimental movement. And all of this is sort of like well established in this world. But in the Africanist world, it's very much a part of, you learn the cultural form and then you flip it. You flip it with your timing. You come up with a new way to do a shoulder roll. You do a shoulder roll on your tippy toes, and no one's ever done that before. You do it in a squat, and no one's ever done that before. It's not about inventing something new. And I think that this tension is fundamentally a healthy tension. And at the same time, when it comes to contests, we're just in a super fucked up predicament, because the name of the folkloric dance of Fresno style popping is also the name of the umbrella term for the aggregate of all the folkloric dances. Popping means electric boogaloo style Fresno popping, and simultaneously it means strobing, ticking, bopping, G-style, strutting, Oakland boogaloo, boogie boy style, smurfing, like animation, on and on and on. And that's where we find ourselves. And I feel that the path forward for singularity style, which is the style that I personally am aligned with, is to combine the two, like a DNA strand, where you understand and have respect for the folkloric traditions, and before that, right? Because the reality is that most folkloric traditions, the main thing they have in common is that they're dead. And what that means is that people don't dress like that anymore. They don't listen to that music outside of doing that folkloric dance. And it's something that is off over here. It's not what regular people are doing. It's a little niche thing that an audience goes and watches, right? Like a play. And so another aspect of our predicament is that the style that we do is both rooted and like locked in the 1960s and 70s and 80s in a culture that is not relevant at all anymore. And I know this more than I ever have, because thank God for Slim Boogie and his crew, The Lot. I've gotten to spend a lot more time now than I think I otherwise would have with the up-and-coming dancers in their 20s. And, like, none of this conversation that I'm having has any relevance to them at some level. They're in, like, a whole new wave. Trap music is a real thing. Streetwear is a real thing. Like, that's their life. And what's interesting is that these folkloric dances that we do, like Fresno style popping, when you get an 808, fuck the bitch, right? And you can dance, you can do the folkloric dance to the modern music. So it's even more of a weird predicament, because Mexican and Thai folkloric dancing, they only make sense to like mariachi music or like Thai music using instruments that like no one even plays anymore in any kind of modern music. So it's quite the quagmire. And to kind of continue the thread I was on, My idea with singularity style and the weaving of the DNA is you respect that, but the thing that you take from the Europeanist aesthetic, right? And we are in the United States, which does come, I mean, not all of us, but I am in the United States, which does come, is founded on European traditions. And we can go all into cultural appropriation and race relations and everything else under the sun. The facts are that that's like the Constitution and the swearing on the Bible and all the laws and rules, they come from Europe, right? So there is a very real Europeanist and a very real Africanist tradition that we're dealing with. And I think that the way that you blend those, this is my current theory, and I'm very interested to hear your theories on this, if you have them, is it starts with you as an individual. And it starts with what you resonate with, like elsewhere, right? I like that guy, and I like her, and I like that dude, and I like that style, and I don't like that. And there's so many styles to choose from and pick from now that you'll never be able to learn everything you want to learn, right? It's like a video game that just goes on forever, or it's like the universe. Whoa. And then you actually apply yourself to the traditions that resonate with you. And that seems to me to be the only potential way to resolve the tension between elsewhere is whack and elsewhere is dope. Or Boogaloo style is played out and old and passé, or Boogaloo style is the original and real style of popping that people should be doing. Neither of those, to me, make sense, believing them 100%. So, I'm glad. I feel like that came out really well. I feel like that all came out really well. Pat on the back, Otis Funkmeyer. You got it all out fairly clearly, fairly straightforwardly, on some just bap, 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 bap shit. Tick, tick, pop.